What's up, mi gente? It's your homegirl, Motuika. Welcome to Chicana Más Chingona, where I talk about my life, unscripted, unedited, just going with the flow. I was born in the best era, the best generation. I was born in 82. I was born in Huntington Park. Fun fact, I was born in the same hospital as my mom. I was raised and went to school in these cities: Huntington Park, Cudahy, Bell, Maywood, Bell Gardens, Downey, the ghetto part of Downey, and Pico Rivera. I am blessed for my parents. My mom has been mom and dad for me throughout my life. I'm also blessed with 3 dads: my real dad and 2 stepdads that became dads. I also have a stepmom that became a mom. Everyone has played a different role in my life in different eras, different seasons, different chapters. They all bring something to my life that means so much, and I love them all. So my mom had me when she was 17. Her and my dad did not stay together. Tu sabes, they were very young. He knew everything, but they were young, so they didn't stay together. But my mom still had to figure it out and become mom and dad. She had her struggles. It was hard, I could imagine. And then with my dad I didn't have a relationship with him until later on in life, which I still have now. And I'm so grateful for that and so blessed. And because I didn't know I had a real dad. I'll tell you in a bit. And that's where my mom S comes in, because that's his wife and I have the best relationship with her today. When I was 4 months old, my mom met and got with my dad T, and they stood together 14 years. So he helped raise me until I was 14. In the time they were together, they had 5 kids of their own. So together, my mom had 6 kids. So yes, 6 kids. I didn't find out until I don't remember if I was 9 or if I was 11, going on 12, when I found out. And when I asked my mom and him, they told me the truth, but everything went on like nothing the next day, because he never treated me any different after or before anything. He always treated me like his kid. He had a tattoo that had my name and my siblings all underneath it, like a list. And like he told me, whose name's right there? Who's the first name? So even though his first child was a boy, and you would think, okay, you have a boy, this and that, but no, he never ever treated me different or ever said anything to me in a negative way. And I doubt he ever told my mom, because my mom would have told me. But so when my mom and my dad T separated, I still stood in contact with him for years. And then the relationship with all of us started just going off and on. Then he came back into our lives, and he was in and out as well until he passed in 2016. So then a couple years after that, my mom met my dad G. Now, at the time, I was in and out with my mom and my grandma. I was a teenager by this time. And so when they were barely starting off, I was with my mom. And then I moved with my grandma. And when they moved in together, it was 4 or 5 kids, but I think it was more the little ones. They really needed a dad. And I will say that my dad G, and not talking about down on nobody else, but I will say my dad G was a man. He not only was with my mom with all of her package, he treated, He showed love. He showed what a dad is supposed to be. Now, yes, we had our dad T there when they were together, but my mom was still mom and dad. My mom still had to figure it out and do it on her own and get on the bus with 6 kids and whatnot. But when my mom, with my dad G, it was different. My mom was used to depending on herself, and now it was hard for her to depend on a man and my dad G, but he took that role and was like, no, we're in this together. And to me, has been the best thing in our lives. Now, my dad G is the best dad, the best grandpa. He has put up with all our shits. And the way he loves my mom is so beautiful. They've been together 26 years. And he also has 2 daughters, and that were, not just stepsisters for us, but they were sisters. He got full custody of them, and they lived with them and us for many years. And so their house had a lot of kids, so you could imagine. But the love they have for each other, the love that my mom has for him, the love he has for her, it's just beautiful. And I'm just so grateful and so blessed. So going back to my dad R, I did get to see him and meet him when I was a young teen, but I was young. I didn't understand at the time, and I didn't want nothing to do with him. So it was left like that. I have never been a person to say, oh, I never had a dad, or I have daddy issues, or this and that. No, because for me, I always had a dad there. I was always surrounded around male family members as well that were male figures that helped my mom with us. So I never felt that. I will say, though, when I had my daughter, that first month, holding her in my hands made me want to have a relationship with him. After 13 years of searching and asking questions, we finally went to go visit my dad R, his wife, Mom S, my sister, and my brother. What a beautiful story. That's the story of my parents. And I have 9 siblings. I'm the oldest from my mom's and the oldest on my dad's. On my mom's, we're 6. On my dad, we're 3. My dad G's daughters are included in my siblings. I don't call my siblings siblings. I just call them brothers and sisters, or by their name. Like I've said before, I'm the oldest out of 8 on my mom's side and the oldest out of 3 on my dad's side. Now that makes 9 siblings. I only have a relationship with 6. I don't have a relationship with 3. I won't get into details of why I don't have a relationship with 3, but all I can say is that we grew up together, but as we get older, we're a different person with a different mind, and that's it. I love my brothers and sisters to death. I feel like sometimes I'm motherly, I guess because I'm the oldest. So I do scold. I do say, you're not doing right. The same way I would, that I know they would tell me, you're wrong, you did wrong, or whatever. My mom had 3 in the 80s and 3 in the 90s. So the 3 born in the 80s, I always consider us as the older ones. And the 3 in the 90s, I always consider them the little ones. When I won't say how I raised them, but I helped my mom in some sorts into a certain time, help raise them, help her take care of them, gave her a hand. And so, yeah, I will say from each one, I don't know how many years apart. I just know that my mom had me, then had 4 boys in between, then had my sister. Now, my sister is 11 years younger than me. And so, yeah, that's the different age. And then on my dad's side, me and my sister are 17 years apart, and me and my brother are 21 years apart. And fun fact, my sister and brother on my dad's side are actually a year older than my kids. My sister is 1 year older than my daughter, and my brother is 1 year older than my son. So yeah, me and my siblings, I think we've all been through good times, bad times, emotional times. And I feel like with each one, I have a different bond with. And it was different when they were little because to me, I was the older one. So it's like, taking care of them, it's like a child. But then as they get adults and have their spouses and their children, it's like, it feels weird in the beginning. Well, it felt weird in the beginning because it's like, you don't want to see them grow. Like you're in denial that they grew up, that, they got their own families of their own and they're doing their own thing. And, it was a lot. I don't think it was hard, but I think it was just timing to get used to them, that they're adults, they're older. Because you still see them as little kids. The same way I see my kids, the same way I see my nieces and nephews. It's like, damn, where did time go? Like, time flies. And I will say that I'm proud of each one in a different way. None of us are perfect. I'm not perfect whatsoever. I've done wrong. I've made mistakes as a sister. I probably said things as a sister. But, I don't know. I just love them. One of my brothers, I think because we seen more when we were little and we went through more things, we could understand each other more. And maybe the other ones as well, but I feel like certain ones don't remember so much, and maybe they do. I could be wrong. I'm just going by age that I feel like probably they don't remember, but who knows? Because I remember a lot when I was young. My mom gets surprised on certain things, and I will say certain things that I remember. I will say that 85, I could remember certain things in 85, but I can't remember nothing from 86. But I could remember everything from 87 all the way to now. There's probably some things I have forgot, but there's a lot of memory I have from 87 para acá. I will say there's like this event in 87 that happened to us that I seen with my own eyes. And what I seen was, at the time, my brother was a newborn or a couple months old. And my mom's pregnancy with him when he was born was difficult. And so I don't know what happened. Something happened. I'm not going to go into that details of what happened. But my mom was burping him on her, I don't remember if it was the right side or left. I'm just going to go with the right side. In that second, my mom moved him to her left shoulder to burp him. And if she hadn't done that, something that happened behind her, my brother wouldn't be here today. So that is just weird and thankful at the same time. But yeah, I have memories of each one. And then with my younger brother and sisters, because they are considered my younger ones on my dad's side, is the memories I created with them. The visit we had, the phone calls, the texts, the bond we have created. Now, at this moment in life, and the moment that I changed was the moment that they came into my life. So I don't know how to explain it. I'm just getting confused right now. I changed as a person at a certain age in my life. And the way I change is that mostly everybody gets equal or gets just a little bit more than somebody else. But I wish and I pray that I can be different and be there as an older sister that I should be. But because I gave so much of being an older sister at one point in my life that I had to step back. And by stepping back, it has, how do you say it? It has made me to a sister where I'm not there completely for my siblings, if that makes sense. They may think I am, and don't get me wrong, I am. But I wish that with my sisters, at least, I have two sisters, and they're younger. One's 11 years younger than me, and my other sister is like 17 years younger than me. So yeah, so I wish I had that sister bond that I can give them of, doing sisterly things together, doing, I don't know what. And I think as an older sister, you think you have to play that role. And it's weird because I wasn't raised like that. And it's hard for me. And especially when you live so far from your family. And so you can't do those things on an everyday basis. And then as an older sister, like for an example, my sister S, that's 11 years younger than me. We have a bond, but I still see her as my little sister, as a kid. So if I see that if something, I'm going to scold her, or my consejos to her are going to be as telling her that this, that, and the third. And maybe that is being a big sister and that's a sisterly bond. But I feel like, I don't know, it's hard to just sit there and, let's say, for an example, get drunk with your sister because you feel like you got to take care of her. And I think that's just a me problem. That's not nobody else's problem. That's a me problem. And like I said earlier, it's just hard to accept that they're older. And I feel like I should let go of being motherly, or I have to take care of and just enjoy the moment. I feel like I owe that to my siblings. And not that they're asking for it. Don't get me wrong. It's just that I feel like as a sister, I have done a lot, but at the same time, okay, let me make this clear. I did a lot gratefully and wanted to when I was younger, that I stepped back. And now that they're adults, I feel like they need more of me. But because we already got used to the relationship we have, I just keep it like that. And that's just not for my sisters. That's also for my brothers, because brothers and sisters have big bonds too. And I feel like I have a bond with each one of them as a whole and as individuals, the same way they have with me. And I will say that, at least in my part, I don't think, and maybe I could be wrong, I don't think I've ever done anything harm to them. Now, have I said harmful things? Have I scolded too strongly? Have I put my foot down and say no? Yes, I have. And that could be as hurt as well. I feel like for me, I'm just going to talk about me. I haven't disrespected my siblings, if that makes sense. Now, I have gave my opinion. I have said certain things, but physically, no. Now I will say, when we were younger, my dad T used to make us put boxing gloves on and box each other. As I got older with my kids, and I had somebody in my family at that time that would want kids to do that, especially older kids with little kids, I didn't like that. And I started remembering when I was a kid, and I started noticing that, yeah, you're teaching your kids to be tough. It's a good thing to teach them how to box, but it ain't a good thing to teach them how to box between siblings. Now, if you're doing it in a training way, yes. But my dad T, not to talk bad, but he wouldn't do it in a training way. It was like, fuck them up and fuck them up. And then in the end, us kids will be crying. I have one brother that to this day, he has a temper, but he is the strongest fucker I ever known. He could take a hit, and best believe he's taken big hits in his life, but you would never see him shed a tear. You would never see him back down. And when we were kids, when our dad T used to do that, me and the other one will punk out and start crying. He wouldn't. Even when he got punished and got hit, because yes, we come from a generation that our parents spanked us with a belt, and he would take it like a man as a kid. He wouldn't shed a tear. He would just take it and take it. And so I think that I never knew this, but my daughter and my son have taught me so much, sometimes better than life and sometimes better than school and better than other things. I don't come from a generation about trauma. I'm going to leave this for another episode, but they teach me that all my life things didn't affect me, or I didn't let them affect me. But as I'm getting older and I'm sitting here thinking, a lot of things get to me now, but it gets to me as anger. And I get emotional when I'm by myself and I feel like talking to this phone. I'm by myself. So if I was in front of somebody, I wouldn't shed a tear at all. But looking back on certain things that we as kids, it is trauma, even though we come from a generation that don't believe in that. But as you get older, a lot of people that were born in I'm not going to go how far, let's just say 60s, 70s, 80s, and sometimes 90s, are raised with trauma, but you don't see it, or you don't accept it, or you don't let it take over you. Now, I know for me, I don't even know where the point was going that I was talking about the boxing, but I will say those things that we did as siblings when we were younger not only gives us a bond because we understand each other, but sometimes it could create like protection. It could create maybe even anger towards each other. I don't know. I don't see that with my siblings. I feel like I always had to protect them. And I had to protect my mom. Now, when when my mom was with my dad, T, I'm not gonna sit here and sugarcoat it. It was a domestic violence home. It was a dysfunctional home. At the time, we didn't see that. At the time, we didn't understand it. As you get older, you learn and you're getting taught a lot of things. Now, I know that even though it was a home that you're raised in with love, but also there's a lot of stuff that happens. And my mom was a victim of domestic violence. And not only my mom, I knew other family members or friends, parents were the same way. But now, when at that moment, I couldn't protect my mom. But what I would always do when something big was happening, I would protect my siblings. I would gather them all up in a corner, try to hide them. Or I would put a face in front and say, you're not touching them. You want to hit somebody? You hit me. And I couldn't protect my mom. But I made it always my business to protect my siblings. And I remember the last time. The last time. My dad, T, went after one of my little brothers. And I pushed him and I said, no. You want to hit somebody? You hit me. And he did that. And so I don't know. I don't even know if all of this is making sense. I don't even know if everything's lining up of what I'm trying to say. It's probably all over the place. But my whole point is, I've always felt like I'm my siblings' protectors. And as they got teens and as they got older, I was already married and with my kids. So it hurted me that I couldn't be there to protect them, to not get into trouble or not to do certain things. You get me? And then I feel like when years ago, I felt like I did more than what I should have as a sibling. But times change, and now I feel like, not that I pushed away from them, but, and I don't know if this is how they feel, but I just feel like sometimes I feel like I don't give them more than than what an older sister should be giving them, right? I don't know. That's just my thinking. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just overthinking it or whatnot. Now, because I was an older sibling and I had, I helped my mom. I had to help my mom with my siblings. I always said that I didn't want kids because there was too many kids. I didn't want kids. And, when you're young, you tell your peoples that you never want kids. And I got pregnant at 17 and got married at 17. And I did have people say, I thought you said you didn't want kids. You hate kids. But when you bring kids into this world, I will say that hate or that I don't want to have kids no more goes out the door, because now you got your kids. And once you carry your kid inside you, you will never understand. And Just like I probably didn't understand why my mom had so many kids or whatnot. Um, my kids grew up with my siblings, and my kids, for many years, my kids thought my three younger siblings were their cousins because they were little. I don't remember if my sister was 7 when I got married, and we were so close, so it was, she was jealous for a little bit, because I, have another kid. I think she was jealous. Don't get me wrong. Maybe she wasn't, but I'm just saying. But I always had my siblings too at my house. They would come over, spend the night, whatever, help my mom watch them or whatnot. Excuse me. And because I'm sorry, because I also had my nieces and nephews around, probably every week or every other week or whatnot. So my kids grew up with a lot of cousins, and my siblings were there too. So they always thought they were cousins until they got a little bit older, and we would call them tío, tía. And for many years, they would just call them for their names because they thought they were just cousins. And so, yeah, imagine my sister became a tia, I think at 7 years old, I want to say. So, because I think her and my daughter are only 7 years apart. So, yeah. I don't even know where I'm trying to go with this, but whew, but I think that's it. All right, mi gente. That's it for now. Have a feed me weekend. Laters.